What's up, Dragon Brood? Today we have a doozy of a deck. We are playing some Sultai Self Mill, and let me just say, this is one of those decks that was very difficult to play. Matter of fact, I'm just going to be upfront with you. There's at least 3 games I think we just didn't even include because I just destroyed the plays in there, stumbled through them, like made every wrong choice, stacking effects wrong. Mostly they weren't going to be entertaining to watch because it's just a jumble of mess and then the game's over, you know. But just letting you know, like, this is a difficult deck to play. So no matter what it looks like in the games you get to see, and I think even then I left a bunch of the mistakes that I had in several of these games as well. So just saying up front, there's going to be a lot of mistakes. This is a fun deck. Don't get me wrong. It is a very fun deck. Lots of interesting choices, but it's also very, very difficult. So I'm just going to put it out there just like that. Let y'all decide what you decide after watching this. But yeah, like I said, a little bit of a tough deck to play. I was happy with it, but it took us a while to also find the right choices. I probably played 7 or 8 games before I settled in on what the version is that you're going to get to see in this one. But all that being said, it's a fun ride, so let's get to it. Okay, so the premise of this deck is we're trying to shove things in our graveyard, then pull things out of our graveyard. So we needed an equal number of cards, not even equal, but enough cards that we could fill the graveyard consistently and still be able to get the stuff we wanted out of and make use of it. So we'll see how that all works. But starting at the top, we're playing Cobbled Lancer, which you look at it and say it's a 1 mana 3/3. Well, kind of. It's sort of like a 2 mana 3/3 at best because you got to spend a turn getting something into the graveyard. But otherwise, it's actually a pretty cool body, pretty big, especially when you're talking about fighting against, you know, werewolves or mono white or mono green aggro. Having a 3/3 body is pretty solid. And it has the bonus of being able to exile itself to draw a card. So it's meeting that other requirement of getting stuff out of your graveyard. Then we're playing Otherworldly Gaze, 3 copies of those. Again, it's a way to fill your graveyard. You can also flashback. Counts as removing something from your graveyard, so we love that. Playing Bloodchief's Thirst, and this was more just concession to a couple of things. We had to have some amount of removal. Maybe we don't, but I didn't feel safe playing a deck with 0 removal. I really wish we had a good flashback removal spell. I would have liked to have had that to be able to play something out of the graveyard, but I couldn't find anything. So I went with this, partly because it's cheap enough that against the early aggro decks we can pick off things, because Monowhite Aggro is probably the most played thing you run into on the best of 1 ladder right now. This picks off most of the problematic cards you're going to be worried about. It's not a dead card against the mid-rangey matchups, because you can still get rid of a Planeswalker and whatnot, so that's actually cool. Probably a dead card against the Epiphany decks, but meh, you know, that's about it. And even then, I guess you could kill the egg or whatever. We're playing 2 Rotten Reunion. This is a little bit of, it does remove something from our graveyard, so that's cool. We do just get a 2/2 body, which isn't the best thing. However, it can be used defensively to remove your opponent's, like, Memory Deluge or, you know, whatever, the copy flashback spell. So you can do a little bit of work with it. Probably should have at least a 3rd copy in here. I just didn't know what I wanted it to be. Then we have 4 Deathbonded Sprouts. This is a 1/1 for 1. Puts a card in your graveyard every upkeep. And once you have 3 creatures, you get to turn this into a 3/3. Then can remove stuff, creatures, from a graveyard, not just your graveyard, and put a +1/+1 counter on it. So these will get to do some work for us over the course of the games. And this is kind of the star, quote unquote, of the show, Willow Guys. This actually gets bigger every single time a card gets removed from your graveyard. So, not for each card, but when a card, 1 or more, gets removed from your graveyard. So if something removes your whole graveyard, you're going to get one token. If you do 1 card and then 1 card, then you get 2. So, really good card. It does a lot as it grows. It has trample. It also gains you life when it dies. So, it's checking a lot of boxes. All you have to really do is get this to about 4/4, and then it starts really taking off. And that's not too difficult to do in this list the way it's set up. I decided to play 4 Malevolent Hermit because we needed some defense against like the Dimir decks, the Azorius Control, you know, even honestly against the Epiphany decks. You got to have something in there. Not a ton, but you need a little bit of something. And this gives us that. And again, it has Disturb, so it does remove itself from the graveyard. Ludovic, Necrogenius. I had one slot I wanted to play around with. I didn't know if I wanted it to be the extra Rotten Reunion or what I wanted to do with it. So it ended up being Ludovic. I'd seen a couple other Self Mill lists where people enjoyed playing this card. I figured I'd give it a try, if nothing else. I'm not sure I'm in love with it. We'll see. One of the things we'll be talking about at the end of the video for sure. So remember, there's a spoiler, or I guess a prediction. Why don't you go ahead and make sure you get to the end of the video today, because we're going to be talking about this card in particular. Cemetery Illuminator. This is another one that's interesting, right? Because it removes stuff from the graveyard. But more importantly, it lets us play stuff off the top of our library. And you could, theoretically, be able to remove a sorcery from your graveyard or your opponent's graveyard and then have access to the Blood Chief Thirst when they're on top. But mostly, we're playing a bunch of creatures, so we really want to just get credit for a creature and being able to play more creatures. You can play one each turn, so unfortunately, the only thing we have with Flash is Ebb and Death, but that's fine. We'll still play this and be okay with it. We do have 3 Egon, God of Death, and this is mostly for the Throne of Death, so we can keep putting stuff in the yard, make sure we can keep that full. However, once you have about 8 or 10 cards in the graveyard, you go ahead and just play Egon as a 6/6, and it's a big Death Touch body. It can go toe-to-toe with just about all the creature stuff your opponents are going to play. And it also counts for removing cards from your graveyard, which again, this is kind of what we were talking about with the Willowgeist earlier. You do have to remove 2 cards, but that's only going to trigger once for the Willowgeist since they move at the same time. But either way, really cool. And then if you just can't remove anything at that point, you do get to sacrifice it and draw a card. So cool that we have a deck that can really utilize both halves of Egon very efficiently. Then we're playing Old Rutstein. This is just keeping your yard full, putting stuff in there. Possibly produces an extra treasure or a blood token or a 1/1. All those things are good for this deck. You know, the blood token for drawing deeper. The treasure, just because we do have multiple colors and sometimes need that extra mana. And then, you know, a 1/1 still a 1/1. It's a body we can block with or finish the opponent with in some cases. And then, like we mentioned, we have 2 copies of Ebb and Death. Mostly because we are removing enough things from the graveyard every turn, or even have the ability between the Throne of Death, the Rotted Reunion, you know, to be able to remove stuff at instant speed. So we could do it during the opponent's end step and then put something into play, or block, lose even our 1/1 token or whatever, and then be able to play an Ebb and Death. So this felt like the right card for this list at the top end. As for our lands, we are all over the place here. I'm playing 1 Swamp, 2 Forest, 4 Clearwater Pathway, 3 Shipwreck Marsh, 1 Haunted Ridge. Actually, I don't need the Haunted Ridge anymore. Why did I leave this in here? So I'm going to make this change now. I had red in here at one point. I don't anymore. So there you go. 4 Shipwreck Marsh. I don't think it came up at any point, which is funny. 4 Darkpour Pathway, 1 Deathcap Glade, 4 Bark Channel Pathway, and 3 Dreamroot Cascade. Whew, that's a lot going on with this list, man. Like I said, this deck, if you look, all the cards are interacting in all these interesting ways. So this is a pretty fun, interesting, sort of tight list. But, man, it's going to be some fun, interesting game. The games are going to be very grindy, so buckle your seat, grab yourself a tea, a coffee, whatever your beverage of choice is, and then have fun watching for the next 35, 40 minutes, because there's a lot of interesting stuff that goes down. Anyway, we're going to play those games, and like I said at the end, we're definitely going to talk about some updates to this list, and I'll have a card spotlight for you. Easy mulligan. This is a bit more difficult, though. Alright, we keep it, I think. And we're going to get rid of this, because we're going to need double blue for that. And sadly, I think our plan is just play this by itself. Alright, we're going to attack. I guess we can wait on that. I mean, if they counter it, it's not the end of the world. Oh, geez. Wow, we really need black mana. But let's put the 2 creatures in the yard. And then we'll do this, remove the Geist. And then we attack. Play that. Alright, that's interesting. I guess they're waiting for a land of Doomscar or some such here? Not really sure what else is going to happen. No, nothing. Alright, go to attack, I guess. Sure. Honestly, I should have done this during my upkeep, to be honest. Would have been the better play. Set a stop, then play the otherworldly journeys. That way I could actually make sure I draw a land, or at least increase the odds I could draw a land. Would have been big. So again, I'll put the stop here. So during my upkeep, I can go ahead and do this. And see if maybe if there's a swamp on top or a black source. There is. Matter of fact, there are multiple things here that we would like to have. So, kind of like all this stuff. Let's put this into the yard, though, I think. And then we will leave the lands just like that. We'll draw. Go to our main phase. We'll play this. We will go to attacks. We'll go ahead and cast this. Assuming the opponent's trying to get some type of sweeper off here, so I don't want to commit too much. Let's put... Need at least one more black. So, I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's just put this one in the yard. And I guess we'll keep a Willow Geist since we have a Malevolent Hermit. I'll take the other swamp first, maybe. Alright, not sure what they're looking for here, but they have the 4 mana now. I mean, we both got stuck on mana during this game, so... Not really sure what's happening here. Alright, we'll go for this, because this at least gives us some level of protection. Alright, want to divide by 0 the guy set, seems fine. We'll attack. Gonna go ahead and play this, because it's cheap enough and still leaves us mana up to use Malevolent Hermit. Alright, unless I play something that gets rid of multiple creatures, we're probably not going to blow up the Hermit. Alright, now we will blow up the Hermit. And if they gain 2, it's not going to be enough here. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. We have a hand that looks like we can keep here, right? Kind of double checking. We don't have double blue, but that's fine. I guess. Mostly. If we put this on black, we can go ahead and play this. Start filling up our graveyard for later. And possibly drawing cards when the time comes. Cleric class, alright. Mana that was potentially helpful, but not the end of the world that we don't have it. Now, seeing as that we're up against a creature deck, getting to play 2 Blood Chief's Thirst is going to be kind of nice. Now, this is actually a little bit tough because Instinct says we would like to be able to kill this. However, we know these Lifegain decks, the best things they play cost 2. So we're just going to attack, see if we can get them to use up an Enabler, which they're probably not going to block here because I wouldn't. And then we're going to go ahead and play this. And end the turn. So, I mean, we could have used it on the Orator, which meant whatever they get next wouldn't gain life, so that would be a thing. But if they play something like either the, well, Righteous Valkyrie, not the one I was expecting them to play, but we wouldn't mind killing that. Sure, no blocks. Alright, we did grow our creature, which is nice. We have double black. I guess we'll set up double green. I'm not sure what we would need that for. But, here you go. Alright. This could be a turn with just 2 Lifegain creatures, which would be very bad for us. Because we can only kill 1. Alright, that one costs 3, sadly, so we're going to have to use all our mana again. Annoying, but, you know, it's what we got to do. Yeah, let's go ahead and eat that. Oh, Egon, you're going to be kind of nice here. Maybe we let them keep that 4/4 for a moment. I would trade, if you're interested. They are not interested. Now this does get a little interesting, but I think we're gonna wait. Okay, a cleric class. Not leveling either of those up yet. There's a Trellisero. Definitely are gonna want to kill that. Having them scry is going to be much more of a pain in our rear. Choose 2. Let's get rid of Geist and Ludwig. We will get rid of you. That land is nifty. Alright. We can get rid of that. Do we want to put another creature in the yard? Just to make sure we'll have enough. Because I don't think we're going to get to counter much. And if they just let through 11, we don't care that much either. Yep. That's true. We could just get rid of one of theirs. Forgot about that. Doesn't have to be our graveyard. Okay, we have 2 in the air. Opponent's going to gain at least 1 here, I'm assuming. Alright. Play a creature to gain a 2nd life. Yep. Actually, more than a 2nd life. That actually is a big difference there. Okay, that definitely makes a difference. Well, I guess we'll just be chump blocking here then, won't we? Or do we need to? I mean, we have the ability to play one of these, because we have another creature we could remove. We'll just let it die. It adds a creature to our graveyard right now, which is relevant. Ooh, we didn't flip any things, did we? That was not cool. We will get this. Obviously, we didn't... I guess I didn't have to exile a creature. I mean, that's 12 damage, though. During our upkeep, we're going to sacrifice Egon. So we sacrifice Egon. We'll get a 7/7 on the ground. We have our 2/2 in the air. We could also... Well, if we block with Geist, we have no creatures in the yard, right? We have to exile a creature to draw a card. So yeah, I could have left the Benevolent, or I guess now the Death Bonnet Hulk or whatever, at 5, and that would have been good enough. You know what though? I think we just take 9 here. I think that's the right answer. Okay. We got the opponent's hand empty. However, losing that sucks. That is a big deal. We'll decline to exile anything. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That helps a lot. I mean, the ground dudes have to be blocked. I did this all wrong, just interpreting my cards incorrectly, so I didn't have to sacrifice or exile the cards I wanted to. I did that all wrong. I was thinking everything was creatures and it's not, so I could have done a lot more with this and been in a much safer spot, actually. We won anyway, though. Okay, this is an interesting start. Alright, we keep... I think we want to lead with this first. Because we're not going to really grow the Geist anyway. I mean, we could potentially have played... Well, yeah, it wouldn't even have mattered. Yeah, it really doesn't matter. I think we're going to put both of these on green, and we'll put the others on blue and black. Because now we can remove at least one card. And that gives us the opportunity to grow these into 2/2s. They're probably going to put a Death Toucher in the way, though, and make us sad. Nope, they didn't even do that. Okay, so they're going to set up to kill a creature, obviously. So I can't see you doing nothing here at all. I think they're just deciding if they need to kill it now or possibly risk us having protection. Which, you know, smart move to at least think about it on their part. Here, since we have an opportunity to, I'm going to go ahead... Oh, wait, I didn't have a creature in the yard. Oh, that's so stupid. I got ahead of myself. Oh, that was so dumb. That was so dumb. We could have got in for 2 more damage there. These would be 3/3s next turn. That's a big mistake. Because now if they put something in the way, we can't attack. Yeah, see, big difference. Those would have been big enough to where we wouldn't even have gotten hit with the Meat Hook Massacre. Yep, dumb mistake. Dumb mistake. I misplayed this. Had the hand that actually would have been fine. So yeah, let's just move on to another game. Oh boy. We're gonna hope we're playing against something we can use these Blood Chief's Thirst on. That's the only thing I can do here. Because otherwise, this hand's just garbage. You know, not really what I was expecting, but hey, our first hit was a creature. Maybe these next two are creatures, and we just are going to be short on mana. I don't know. Let's find out. Ranger class. All right. Good news. We can kill a creature. That was a land, and that was a land. Oh, that also was a land, though, so that was at least some good news. Let's kill that. Attack for 1. Alright, what you got for us? Tovolar. Alright, so now we know what we're up against, at least. Okay. There's a creature. There's a creature. I was really hoping that was going to be a land. I was really hoping that was going to be a land. It was not, though. Okay. We attack. I don't think they're going to trade. Nor should they, really. Let's get rid of this thing. And we just end the turn. I doubt they're going to attack and trade for Tovolar here. They're either going to... Yeah, and then you probably just pump your Ranger class, I'd assume. And get in for 4. Get a card. No, just going to kill our dude. Yeah, fair. How many creatures are in our yard? That's a real question. 1, 2, 3. We could exile the Willow Geist. I think that makes sense. Huh. Well, that was another random card to put there. This is gonna be a problem, y'all. This is gonna be a real problem. Okay. That worked out, kind of. I think we just attack with this. And then sadly, I think we're just going to have to waste this Bloodchief's Thirst on this little Ascendant Pack Leader just to keep something silly from happening. We never drew the mana we needed to kill this Tovolar, unfortunately. But the good news is we can grow our Willow Geist, getting a 2/2, so it's something. Alright, so now we're in a weird trade situation here. You know what? I think we have to double block, because there's a chance they have a +1/+1 here. Ah, they don't. Neat. I really thought they might. Well, it's interesting to know things. Let's go to our graveyard. Let's remove one of these. And then we're going to attack. And then I'm going to put a stop during our upkeep, so if we don't flip what we need... Well, I guess we won't even know. We're just going to be drawing a card. We're really just trying to get to another land. I don't know if it changes anything, though. We might just leave our mana. Because if we find a land, we're just going to play it, and like it's not going to really go anywhere here. Well, we flipped one there. We could draw a card here and make this a 4/4. They showed us they didn't have a +1/+1 last time. Yeah, I guess we go for it. We'll just remove this. Alright, we did find a land. Opponent's only at 10. I mean, are they willing to take... I mean, they take 4, they go to 6. There's a chance they play, like, Chariot maybe there. Then how do we feel about it? I guess we have still 3 creatures in the yard, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. That's already a 3/3. We get to exile a creature, but we could exile one of theirs too. Alright, no attacks. Oh, I forgot it was gonna flip. Guess it didn't really matter. We couldn't cast anything anyway. I needed another green land. I think no matter what here, we're just gonna gang block on a Tovolar. Just not like it. I mean, they might still just pump the, and then attack. Level up the Ranger class. But yeah, this did not work out well for us. And it turns out, had I made the right play last time and actually drawn, I guess it wouldn't matter. I would have had to stack it so I could get that. Yeah, it still would have been ugly. Interesting. That's whenever a permanent you control is dealt damage, you can deal it to something else. Opponent's at 10. How do we feel? So if we double block, we absolutely are just going to lose our team here. But we're currently at 17. Alright, we just take it. Now we're going to have a 4/4 and a 5/5 if we want to. Well, now we will, because we're just going to remove Old Redstein. There's another blue. Now there's a chance we get more damage in. We are only at 12. That's 9. If they get another land, they could use Tovolar's ability to get some extra damage in. So we'd kind of have to play this just to suck up one, but then they'd still hit us for that. So we're in bad shape here, y'all. That's what I'm saying. And if we attack with everything, they could block the 2/2 and deal 2 to us. But we could play both of these. Choices. Alright, attacking with these two. Yeah, I was gonna say, block the 2/2, hit us for 2. That makes sense. And then, ultimately, we're just gonna play multiple creatures here and hope that they hold the fort. And that we can some way, shape, or form find lethal next turn. Our graveyard... Let's remove a Rutstein. Alright. Which I could have done that first and attacked with the other 6, but then they just blocked, and it would have been kind of weird. I feel like this is putting a little more pressure on the opponent, making it harder, and I'm able to flip their creatures back. So they can't just easy trample with Tovolar. Now that puts them alone. Now they could also not cast something here, so they could flip everything back over, then have a bigger creature, and be able to suck up all that damage, which is a big deal. Because us only being at 10, that could put us in a situation of only being able to attack with our flyer. Because at some point, if our Willow Geist gets too big, we can never use it to attack. Okay. Question is, do we have the goods then? Man, let's just draw one of our... Oh, we have 2 Blood Chiefs in the yard. Oh, and a third one just went into the yard. Oh, that's gross. That sucked. A lot. Man, we're down to our last creature. No, 2 creatures in the yard. How big do I want this to be? If it's a 7/7, they can't double block it though, right? Man, alright, I guess it has to be this. Mostly because Ebb and Death could make a difference. Also, if our Willow Geist dies, we would gain life too, so that's a real thing to consider. Okay. What's the plan here? Well, whatever we attack with, the opponent has to block, right? If we block here, we're going to take 7. Go to 3. They're not going to let this through. So this gets blocked somewhere. And then we have to draw, but we know what our top card is. So we actually have to remove this, sadly, to see what our next card is. Which could put us closer to dead, actually. Oh, we missed anyway. Oh, that stinks. I was hoping there'd be one more creature on top that we could at least get a good chump block in with, but I think we're dead. Oh, man. That sucks. I think this is kind of the best we can do. I mean, because we can't block the 3/3 with our Willow guys. We either have to let it through or we chump block it. You know, that's kind of where we're at. Hopefully they don't have another. Alright, that's the good news. The 5 didn't come at our heads. That means the opponent doesn't have much of a plan here. And yes, of course, they flipped because, sadly, we had nothing to cast, which is gross. But it is what it is. Good news is they're not putting creatures in for free here, and they're at 4. So there's that. And maybe, just maybe, I guess I should have put this there. We don't even have instants, though. All our stuff's are either creatures or sorceries, so it wouldn't really matter. Guess we could have exiled one of our own, in case we drew the last Blood Chief's Thirst. But this is a rough spot for the opponent. I mean, I feel for them here. I mean, they're both 5/5s, so like we're gonna block, I think, either way. I don't think there's anything that gives them double strike. Though they do get the ability to give them +3/+3. Opponent's at 4. How many creatures do we have in our yard, real quick? 1. This would be 2. We'd have to hope to flip 1 from the next 2. Alright, let's do this and block the Tovolar. Like, if they pump everything to kill our Willow Geist, we're going to gain 8 life anyway. And then if our Death Bonnet Sprout flips, then we have lethal, because they're going to be out of mana. Yeah, alright. We can live with that. We can live with that. So now we just need, in our next 2 cards, to flip 1 creature. That's all we need to happen here. Come on. 1 creature. Okay, we did it, team. We did it. We have a bonus dice off the top. Yep. Woo. Alright, I think we're just gonna keep here. Alright, that's not too bad. Let's play that first. That lets us start filling up the graveyard, setting up a few things. Oh, and the vampires. Okay, okay, okay. See what we can do here. Alright, then we pass. Now, they could play the thing that deals 2 damage to all non-vampires or whatever here. That would be completely relevant. And understandable. Yep. Saw that coming, so we gain a life. Not a total shocker. We'll pass. Could draw a card here, but not going to worry about it too much. Probably just going to set up Otherworldly Journey, or Otherworldly Gaze, I think. But from here, I'm pretty sure this is going to lead to a blowout. Alright. Opponent's just going to look at some cards and do... Oh, they did actually take a land. Forgot, they hadn't played a land yet. Okay, we look at 3 things. Don't love any of the things. Though, to be fair, if we put these 2 in the yard, we would get the Egon, so that's not the worst thing. So let's do that. Oh, crap. I did it again. We're going to mill a thing. Oh, I'm terrible. I'm just screwing this up every game. I don't know how I've won any games with this deck, honestly. Guess we just exile one of our creatures. I mean, if this just dies, it dies. There's nothing we're going to really do much about it. I mean, we're not blocking here. We're taking 5 plus whatever they want to do. Yeah, exactly. They get to look at 5 cards. Probably kill off our Illuminator anyway. Yeah, we're going to be down to at least like 5 before we even... If we can even get to a stabilizing position. So there's a good chance we're just dead already. Having the Egon would have been real nice with the Florian on the other side there. Just a boneheaded play on my part. Yep. Alright, let's just go ahead and move on. We're dead. We're dead. We don't even need the opponent to do anything else. Alright, here's the play. We're going to keep. And we're going to hope to flip a creature with the Death Bonded Sprout. Because then we'd be able to play Willowgeist in this, turn this into a 2-2 and have a 3-3 on the next turn, which looks pretty good against Mono White. That Malevolent Geist is going to be pretty bad. Please don't have a portable hole, thanks. And Intrepid Adversary is not our friend either. Let's be real. Alright. Death Bonded Sprout, flip a creature! You did flip a creature. Thank you so much for your work. Ooh. Though sadly, I would like to have this on black. That's just not going to happen here. That's an unfortunate situation, but it is what it is. Like, things happen. No attack. I'm going to put a stop during my upkeep because we can possibly pseudo-guarantee we get a black mana. Well, that's a thing. Let's go ahead and resolve that. Then we use this. Resolve it. Oh, well, we didn't find one. Wow. Okay, then. Do we even care what we draw here, then? Because we could get another Death Bonnet Sprout, which is probably okay in this fight. So we put this in the yard. And... do we put that in the yard? Because playing Malevolent Geist doesn't feel like we're doing much other than making a blocker there. So, yeah. Feels kind of gross. Draw a card. I mean, the other reality is we could just exile this, turn this into a 3/3 and fight. But I don't think we really have to here. So I might just attack with this. It also puts another creature in our graveyard if it dies, which we don't hate. Okay. Sunbinder Familiar, makes sense. Here comes the Exile Brigade. Oh, it was not. Okay, cool. Yeah, no blocks. We'll take a hit here. No 3-mana Exile person. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Well, now we might want to get this in the yard at some point, just because it could produce a blocker. Yeah, I guess we attack. Maybe the opponent isn't paying attention and blocks? I doubt it, but maybe. They might also want to, like, double block a Death Blonde Hulk. I could see that being a thing. Okay. We will go ahead and use this then. Whew, G-Bus. Yeah, this goes to the yard. This we can actually cast. Let's put these two in the yard. Oh, actually, we're going to mill both of those. Oh, no, we're not, because our other dudes are already flipped now. All right. Another Verdane? Makes sense. From our graveyard, what do we want to get rid of? We have a pile of creatures. Let's go ahead and get rid of one of these Egons. And then let's get rid of another Egon. Oh, great. Great, great, great. We'll attack with these. Yeah, I assume it's getting chumped. I could have done this and made it a 6/6, but I don't feel like it really mattered much. The good news is we have Trample, so maybe I should have. That would have been smart. And, yeah, alright. Alright, y'all. Like I said, I'm apologizing for my mistakes. You're literally seeing just games as I played them and changed cards and tried them. But the deck still worked and functioned, and we won a couple of tough matchups. So that's actually very cool. Now, I do want to take a moment here to talk about a few different cards that you might consider for this list that I did try at some point. So I kind of want to put this out there so you can understand all the versions of things that we tried. But Old Stick Fingers. I think this is a card that's actually pretty cool for this type of list. What I ran into, though, is when I'm removing so many cards from the graveyard, it gets hard to decide like when you can attack and when you can't with Stick Fingers, because you may need to be removing stuff from the yard or adding stuff to the yard. And it's just too hard to keep track of. And to really get use out of it, you really don't want to play it until like turn 4 or 5, whenever you have some extra mana. And a lot of times we're just trying to do things before that with our mana. So while it is a card that makes sense, for me personally, in the couple of games I actually got it and tried it, it didn't really do very much. Moss Pit Skeleton. This is another one that's kind of overlooked that could be reasonable to play as a turn 2 or 3 early play. And then it's something you can get back and have it as a 4/4 or 5/5, because you get to put in with a couple extra tokens with Kicker. And it can keep coming back after you mill it or it dies. So like that's pretty cool. So if you're looking for something to play, consider that card. By the way, I'm really talking about replacing Ludovic because I didn't like it. It didn't do much. The mana investment's just too high. I didn't always have the creatures I wanted to remove with it. Just getting to regularly mill the one when it came into play was cool, but otherwise it was just a 2/3 body most of the time, and I wasn't that happy with it. So I'm going to cut the Ludwig, and I think we can get by cutting one of the Cemetery Illuminator as well. I think we only need 2. That should be fine for us. and that leaves 2 spots open. So feel free to try any of these cards out in those spots. Grakmaw, I think, is a 3-mana 3/3. Gives you another body, which is nice. It doesn't really do much graveyard-wise, but when you're talking about dealing with all the sweepers and the spot removal and whatever else, and we do have several creatures that get counters on them, could matter. Just something to think about if you like that card. Also, Slowkirk is another card we considered. I had it in a list earlier and I took it out. However, I would be considered adding Slowkirk back. Anytime a land goes to your graveyard, you get a +1/+1. And then when it dies, you get to return lands from your graveyard to your hand, which is cool. Just gives you more fodder, more fuel to do whatever you want. Sometimes that's extra cards to discard to the blood tokens or whatever you get from Old Redstein. So that's pretty cool too. So yeah, just lots of stuff there that you could do. Something to consider. I think Slowkirk is an actual reasonable card to play here. Probably if I was choosing, I would play Slowkirk over Grakmaw, but that's just me. Now, the 3 cards I would really consider putting into the list, I would probably go with Ren and 7. If you already own them, cool. I'm not sure I would spend any wild cards on it because the deck can function without it. However, just putting stuff into the yard is very big for this deck, obviously, and just getting that token can be really good too. So, something to consider there. Really nice card. Concealed Curtains. That's another one where you could have just a quality discard card and a reasonable body. And an 0/4 early against the aggro decks actually doesn't suck either. Then it becomes, I believe, a 3/4 on the backside. You get your opponent to discard a card. If they do, they draw a card. Could be good. Mostly, I would say that and my next card, Go Blank, you would want to play if you were concerned about the slower control matchups, maybe stuff with Lear in there, or even the Epiphany matchups. I think those would be the way to go. Probably, though, for my money, you probably just want to go with Go Blank, though. I think that's what you'd want to do. But yeah, otherwise, those are the only things I would probably consider changing from the list, and then go from there. So maybe just 2 Go Blanks in place of the Ludovic and one of the Illuminators, but overall, I think all those other cards were at least worth considering. Some of them I'd already tried and they'd come up, but I figured I would put that in front of you to save you time searching for cards or considering what has or hasn't worked already. Now, for today's card spotlight, we're going to talk about Deathcap Cultivator. This is one of those cards that got largely overlooked whenever the set came out initially, but a 2/1 for 2 is reasonable, but it does have an upside producing 2 different colors of mana, black or green, which would have been great in a deck like today's. But it also gets a benefit of if there's 4 or more cards in the graveyard, it gets Death Touch. So then it actually helps you in all those creature battles. So this would have been a really good card to have today. And it's not like it's stellar. It's not really doing a ton. It's just like doing just enough. I think the only downside of this card is it ended up being a rare that didn't really see a lot of play, and that's always unfortunate whenever there's rares that just nobody really uses or wants. But in general, this card's actually pretty quality. It would have been nicer as an uncommon. However, I think the downside then is you get that weird situation that for limited play, like drafts or sealed, they would be showing up all the time. But, you know, just the way it goes sometimes. But kind of a cool card that I thought about would have been useful today. Now don't forget, if you want today's deck list, it will be down in the description below, along with links to all of our streams and our Discord. So if you want to come by, talk about Magic and all that wonderful stuff. Also, don't forget, if you haven't, check out the memberships below. And if you are shopping at TCGPlayer, at Amazon, or for Ultra Pro products, please check out the affiliate links in the description below. You can shop just like normal, but if you just click those links first when you're doing your shopping, I'll get a kickback here on the channel and you'll be really helping me out. And then finally, if you haven't, please remember, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, all that wonderful stuff, because your support, your word of mouth, you sharing the videos is really what helps the channel grow. But that's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.